A Kralkatorrid Affair by Snargle Goldclaw. Chapter 57. The brandstorm raging outside was severe compared to the storm in Hubert's heart. The door crashed open, and she who haunted him, she who had once been his lover, burst in. "The dragon may have crystallized my body," his elite branded sweetheart said. "But you, Hubert, you crystallized my heart." Wait, is that a good thing?" Hubert asked. She answered by leaning in. Hard angles met soft flesh in a long, passionate, and surprisingly tender kiss, and Hubert realized that maybe, just maybe, he could love again. Love is Blind by Snargle Goldclaw. Chapter 4. Karenina, her name was. A single glance through her had changed Svanhild's life. Were all dredges so beautiful? She had never stopped to wonder, not while cutting them down. They had just been a nuisance to be cleared from the foothills. Now questions gnawed at her like starving snow leopards. She had to know more, even if it meant making mountains out of molehills. There was only one thing left to do. Svanhild had to go undercover. Svanhild had to become a mole. Missed Connections by Snargle Goldclaw. Tiani had schemed her way out of the domain of the lost, ducked and weaved across the eternal battlegrounds, and outwitted the Mad King himself. But now, standing at the divide between the mists and Teria, the afterlife and the life she'd left behind, all her scientific brilliance was suddenly useless. But what drove her wasn't scientific, so she closed her eyes and leapt. A strange tingling, a sinking sensation. Had it worked? She opened her eyes. There, in front of her, was Zip, her Zip, who, even as he spilled ooze-booze all over himself in shock, was still the most beautiful buka she had ever seen. With her feet firmly planted once more on the ground of Radasum, Tiani felt something new. Not relief, not determination, but hope. True hope. The Ebonlocke Covenant by Snargle Goldclaw. Roombanger could hardly comprehend what he'd just witnessed. Suddenly, it all made sense. Why Smolder and Empress Jenny had been willing to forget years of hostilities. Why they suddenly spoke so positively about the potential of an alliance between the Char and humans. He clutched his mane as furious tears matted his cheeks. How could Smolder even look at Jenny that way? What about her furless figure could possibly appeal to rugged, tough, well-groomed Chars such as they? Burn it all! The mouse didn't even have horns! Did no one appreciate the gentle curve of horns anymore? Smolder's place is by my side, as my ally, as my confidant, as my intimate, as my... No, but Legion would not stand for this. Not if Roombanger had his way. Destiny's Pledge by Snargle Goldclaw. This heavily worn tome is all but illegible. A description of its contents remains preserved by the leather cover. After a devastating rejection by his queen, Captain Rogan Fakerai swore to never love again. But when his duty traps him in a single-cot prison cell with the ruthless handsome tribune Gridlock, Rogan's vow is put to the test. From the author of the smash hit A Kralkatorrid Affair comes a sultry dance between human and Char, cross-species desire, heretofore unexplored. Passions of Faren by Snargle Goldclaw. Dedicated to Lord Faren, who pays generously. Chapter 1. Deep in the Maguma jungle, The world had just been saved. Mortemont had fallen in love. Yes, friends, it's the truth. It was not swords that ended the war, for while the Pact Commander had conquered the dragon's mind, Lord Faren had conquered the dragon's heart. No one can know that you still live, Faren said, a single tear flowing down his cheek. They wouldn't believe in you the way I do. I know, my shining knight, the elder dragon whispered back. And yet you must leave my side, for you have other lives to save and more love to give. It Takes Two to Tengu by Snargle Goldclaw. Chapter 2. We don't normally allow outsiders within our walls, Makoto said, enveloping her tiny Asura lover in her feathered arms. So you'll have to swear not to tell anyone what you see here. Prab gazed in awe at the wonders around him. What happens if I sleep up? He thought. He had a hypothesis, of course, but a city built entirely of candy. Why, there are several papers worth of innovations here. Makoto chuckled, entirely miserlessly. I'll have to kill you, of course. Well, hypothesis confirmed. Koss and Koss, Uncensored by Snargle Goldclaw. Chapter 12. Meloni Duncoro Talcora. Koss has had many loves in his life, but something was always missing. He'd always needed more. Here, finally, was the solution. Here, after all, who could ever be more than Koss? Koss gazed lovingly into the eyes of his doppelganger, who gazed back with equal affection. The completion each had sought found. For Koss, an equal. For the doppelganger, a target more worthy than any other. As Koss embraced Koss, their love shifted beyond reality. It defied dimensions, and their journey together was just the beginning. Manuscript, Svan Song, by Snargle Goldclaw. Frist tried to chill his heart, but he couldn't stop the heat rising in his cheeks. He was a good Svanir. He never questioned the teachings of his shaman. He always gave women the cold shoulder, knowing they were unworthy of dragon. But that was before Brenna. Brenna and her skilled sword hand and icy taunts, and her smile. Burning questions exposed cracks in long frozen ideals. What was this strange, molten feeling rising in the pit of his stomach? Was everything he'd been taught a lie? He was beginning to see that maybe he should rest. I can sleep now too. We can dream together beneath the eyes. Let's rest, just for a while. Let's give up. All of us together, sleeping forever. I think I'll lie down. Commander of Your Heart, by Snargle Goldclaw. Chapter 35. Don't think I haven't noticed, the Pact Commander says as your heart skips a beat. How you followed me into danger, over and over. How crucial you were against the Risen and the Mortram. You are an invaluable ally. A pause. You should be flattered, you know. But once again, the meeting he called was strictly professional. Your heart sinks as the silence stretches on, unable to say what you really want. But then the commander moves close. I've also noticed the way you look at me. You can feel his warmth. The way you've always looked at me. So now, the commander continues, taking your hand. I'd like to propose a different pact, a lifelong pact with you. Almost on cue, a flock of snow-white seagulls takes flight. More than she bargained for, Snargle Goldclaw. The tantalizing steam shrouded his strong form in a veil of vapor and mystique, but she knew it was him, Of course it was him. She would recognize his broad warrior shoulders anywhere. If only, she thought, she could dig her own claws deep into the ridges of his back, she'd leave him some battle scars of her own. I take you got my letter. His voice was deep, a tad hoarse, but somehow melodious in its rugged candor. We shouldn't be here. He saw she could manage to whisper. He turned and flashed her a mischievous, fanged smile. And my, what impressive fangs he had. Isn't that half the fun? She wasn't sure if it was the warmth of the Bergen springs that caused the heat to rise in her cheeks, or something far hotter. What if they find you? They'll kill you! Then let's make it a night to die for.